My channel. If you're new here, I'm Shan McQuillan and I'm so glad to have you here. So today's video, as you will know by the title, is all about my experience with the Nexplanon implant, and yeah, I just kind of wanted to share it today because I want to sort of like put this out there to help other people who have the implant and maybe aren't massively happy with it and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why I'm filming this today. This has been a long time coming. If you followed me for a while, you know that I've been planning this for a good few months, and it's just taken me a while to get around to doing it because it is quite a nerve-wracking video for me to film because it's quite personal and it's one that I really wanted to get right. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to get straight on into the video.
2, 3, fuck it.
Yes, basically I have had the Nexplanon implant for 4 years. I had Implanon for 3, which was like the version of Nexplanon before. So that was from 2016 to 2019, and then it runs out after 3 years, and then I got it changed last January and got the new one in, and then had it for a year and actually just got it out on Monday, and it's now Wednesday. So yes, that is why I'm filming this video now, because I just feel like it's all very fresh in my mind and it's kind of like the perfect time to film this video. So yes. Basically, the reason I did want to get it out was because I felt I was suffering a lot of side effects from it. I'm not a medical professional or anything like that. I'm just talking from my own experience. I still am not 100% sure if these symptoms are 100% linked to the Nexplanon, but they seemed to come up after I got the new one in January last year, which is why I wanted it out and why in my head I've linked it to the implant. But then getting it out will help sort of clear my mind to see whether these symptoms are from it or whether there are other problems that I then need to go and deal with. So yes, as I said, I got the Implanon in January 2019 or 2016. I'm getting my words all muddled. Can you tell I'm quite nervous to film this video? But yeah, I got the Implanon in January 2016 and it was fine. Like, I did have a few side effects from it, but overall there was nothing I couldn't handle. It was sort of like just irregular periods. I've always had irregular periods anyway. I've never sort of had like a proper like period cycle. I was like, oh, what's the word? Like, I've never had like a sort of regular period cycle, so that was something that didn't really like bother me that much. So yeah, irregular periods, sort of a bit of nervousness, which I didn't really think was linked to the implant, but like after a bit of reading I've done, I do sort of think it was, like social anxiety and stuff like that, and like a little bit of like tenderness in like my vaginal region, just like nothing major. But yeah, so I could handle that and I was like, right, fine, I'll just get the implant in again because it needs changed. And yeah, so then fast forward to January last year and I got it changed, and since then I've been experiencing so many side effects that I couldn't cope with anymore. I've been quite emotional over the past couple of days about the whole thing, so I don't want to start crying because I just feel my eyes starting to like well up, but I won't, because you'll be like, she needs to chill. But yeah, so basically I have a whole list here of sort of side effects that I felt I was suffering from the implant, and this is since January last year. And the reason that I do link them to the implant is because of the timing that I started having these symptoms and the time I got the implant in. So it's basically like the same exact timeline. So yeah, I'm just going to sort of get on with the list. So I sort of was noticing a few different side effects and I was going to my doctor about them, and she was saying to me, no, it can't be linked to the implant, like that just can't happen. And she checked me for like a load of different like STDs and STIs. Like, I've literally had every like sexual health check going, every single one come back clear, and I was like, look, I'm still having these issues, so like, what's going on? But still, it was sort of like can't be linked to the implant. So I sort of just decided to take things in my own hands and get the implant taken out so as I could sort of see for myself if my side effects will subside, and I will update you guys in a month or so about whether the side effects have gone away or whether they haven't, and then we'll sort of know better if it's sort of linked to the implant. Yeah, I sort of lost my chain of thought there, but yeah, I just decided to take things in my own hands and go and get it removed. So I got it removed on Monday, but basically I found out the type of progestin. So the implant is a progestin only implant. There's no estrogen in it. So I basically can't take estrogen because I have an arachnoid cyst and get migraines from that, so can't take estrogen because it like higher, like, what is it? It increases my risk of stroke like by like so much. So I can't take estrogen, so I can only take like progestin only birth control. So the implant was progestin only, which was great, but it's the kind of progestin in it is this progestin called etonogestrel, and when I was looking at the side effects of Nexplanon, the side effects that I was suffering from weren't coming up, but then when I found out there was etonogestrel, I looked that up and literally all the side effects that I was suffering from were coming up. So I'm just going to run through a bit of a list here of some of the side effects that come from etonogestrel and that I've sort of been suffering from. So the first one on the list is breast pain, which I actually had really quite bad. Like I couldn't even like do this or like my boobs would be sore. So that's one side effect that has subsided since Monday. Like my boobs aren't sore anymore. So immediately that is one side effect that is definitely linked to the implant. Then so we have like fever and like hot flushes, which I was suffering from quite a lot. Haven't had one in the past 2 days anyway, so that's a good sign. Headaches. I do get headaches anyway, so I don't want to definitely say that's linked to the implant, but yeah, like I do get headaches anyway. Joint pain and soreness in your legs, which 100% I did not think could be linked to my birth control, but according to this it can. So basically I would get really sore, just sore legs. Like I have injured myself skiing a couple times and sort of linked it to that. It still could be, I don't know, but over the past couple of years I did notice I was getting really sore legs, especially when I was sort of like trying to go to sleep. My neck, sort of from like my hip down to my ankle, would get really sore, and I would have to put like ankle supports on just to sort of subside like the ache in my legs. So then when I read that, I was quite shocked that that could actually be linked to the implant. Sort of muscle aches and pains, sort of same thing. Trouble sleeping, which I feel like that is quite a common problem for a lot of things, so I don't want to say it's definitely linked to the implant, but that is something I have been suffering from. Like I would wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, stuff like that, and then I'd be up for work at 4, and then would be tired all day but wouldn't be able to sleep, and then would go to bed at night and be lying there like I can't get to sleep, and it was like I was exhausted but I just couldn't sleep. And then yeah, unusual tiredness or weakness, like I would feel like constantly tired, just like I used to be quite an energetic person. Like people who knew me in school will remember that. Like I was sort of like always like to like get into the thick of things, like be busy doing stuff, and then sort of when I got the implant in, like since I've left school basically my motivation to like do things, like move myself, has been very low. So I would sort of link that to the timeline of how long I've had the implant as well. So bloating, I have had really bad bloating, and literally for no reason I was like checking if I had like food intolerances, thought I was dairy intolerant, didn't know what was going on, but you can get really bad bloating from the implant. Burning feeling when urinating, difficult or painful urination. Sorry if this is like too much information, but like peeing was so painful for me. I yeah, couldn't go to the toilet. Like I would like wipe and I was like bleeding and I just didn't understand what was going on. And then that's when she sort of checked me for a lot of like STDs and STIs and all that, and it all came back clear. So I was like, what is going on? Dizziness, headache, severe and throbbing, which I said I do have an arachnoid cyst, so I do get those symptoms from that, but so I don't want to say they're definitely linked for me to the implant. Then yeah, nervousness. As I said before, since leaving school I've been suffering from quite bad nervousness. Like when I would speak to someone, I think I mentioned this in my last video actually, when I would speak to someone I would like very much overthink it and like think a lot about like what I was saying in my head, so then ended up not being able to like speak freely to people, which has been like a major like self-confidence issue for me in the past while. So yeah, it turns out that can be linked to the implant. Puffiness or swelling of the eyelids around the eyes, lips, face or tongue. So I didn't massively notice it anywhere else, but around my eyes I was getting really bad like under eye bags, which was sort of like really affecting my self-confidence. I sort of felt like quite insecure about like my eyes and how they looked, and I sort of felt that because I work so early in the morning, I was wondering if it was linked to a lack of sleep. But then it also says here that it can be linked to the implant. Skin rash, hives and itching. This is going to be way too much information and I don't even know whether I should say this, but because I am trying to do this video to sort of help other people, I do want to share it. But basically I was getting like pimples around my like vagina area, and again that's why she checked me for like different infections and stuff like that. So when they all came back clear, I was like, what is going on? I do still have them, so I don't know whether they just haven't died down yet from the implant or whether that is something else. So yeah, but that is another problem that says can come from the implant. Stomach or pelvic discomfort, aching or heaviness. I get really bad like lower back pain, like just at the bottom of my spine, just like a dull ache like constantly there, almost like a heaviness, and it's like really bad when I sort of sit down and stuff like that. So again, back pain, body aches and pains, crying. So these are more sort of like mental health side effects, which I didn't massively notice myself. Some of them I did, but other people were pointing out to me. So crying, depersonalization, discouragement and dysphoria. So I'm just going to need to 100% check what these are, but dispersonalization, I was feeling that from I got the first one in. I felt like I wasn't myself, like I didn't know what I wanted in life, I didn't know who I was, I didn't know what I liked, I didn't know, like I was so confused about who I was, and it turns out that can be a side effect of the implant. So dysphoria, I'm gonna have to look that one up because I can't 100% remember what it is. So dysphoria is a state of unease or general dissatisfaction with life. So yeah, I sort of just felt like, what's the point in everything that I'm doing? Like I didn't understand like why I was doing things. It was just sort of like I was just going through the motions and I didn't really know what the point was. Yeah, like I just didn't see the point in anything I was doing, which was quite hard to deal with because, as you can imagine, that's quite discouraging, which then also leads into the whole discouragement thing. But yeah, another side effect which I did not think could be related at all is ear congestion. So when I would lie in bed trying to go to sleep, I would get this like cracking in my head. So it was basically like a, and it was almost like I felt like my brain was like detensing. How do I explain that? Like sort of loosening. And I said to my doctor about this and she looked at my ears and she's like, oh, your ears are congested. So she gave me a decongestant for my ears and it didn't help. Like I still got the cracking in my head. Like as I said, yeah, my ears were congested, which who knew that could be linked to the implant, but according to this, it's a side effect of etonogestrel. Increased clear or white vaginal discharge. So yeah, I've literally had thrush since getting the implant in. Sorry if that's like way too much information, but like I've had like constant thrush and it won't go away. And I'd never had it before in my life, never ever had it before in my life until I got that second implant in January last year. So I'm almost 100% convinced that was a side effect of the implant. Irritability. According to Adam, I'm very easily annoyed since getting the second implant in, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Itching of the vagina or genital area. Yeah, constant itching, like when I walk. Like literally, no matter what I'm doing, like it's itchy and uncomfortable. So, which is also like a side effect of thrush. So, quick to react or overreact emotionally, linking into what I've said before. And trouble concentrating. That's one thing I definitely have noticed. I can't concentrate on anything anymore. Like I can't watch a movie unless I watch it in the cinema. finding it really hard to concentrate in class, zone out really quickly, and I used to be quite good at concentrating, so definitely a side effect I've noticed. Abnormal or decreased touch sensation, so I would touch things and can feel them, like I would get burnt and not realise I was like burnt, stuff like that. I would find cuts and I'd be like, where did that come from? Like I just wouldn't understand. A lot of these are sort of repeated, so I don't want to like say them all again, just because they are all ones that I've sort of like mentioned before, like just repeated on that list. So yeah, basically that would be all the worst sort of side effects that I've suffered from the implant. Didn't realise they could be linked, but according to that they can. So yeah, that all leads into the reasons why I wanted to get it out. So where I'm at now is I don't have any birth control. I think for like a 20-something-year-old woman, whether you are sexually active or not is quite a vulnerable position to be in, because I think that you're better to be protected like against rape or anything like that, like just in case, like you don't want to end up pregnant from like being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And yeah, I don't want to go into that too much. So yeah, but I do want to get birth control back in. I've been looking into a lot of other options, and at the end of the day I think I want to go back on the implant, but I just want to give my body some time to like balance itself out and get back to finding out whether my symptoms are linked to the implant or whether they are linked to bigger issues. Basically, I asked on Instagram yesterday if you guys had any questions about the implant that you would like me to answer. So I'm just going to run through them now, and then I'll probably just wrap this video up. But yeah, please, if you do have any more questions, leave them down below and I'll answer them in a future video, or I'll just like send you a message or whatever, because birth control is something I'm really super passionate about, and like how it affects women, because like it's your life at the end of the day. Like you can't run through it feeling like you don't want to waste your time feeling like that. Do you know what I mean? So the first question is, has there been any research to indicate it affects mental health similar to the pill? So yeah, like because there is, it's not so much into the implant itself, it's more into the type of hormones that are in the implant that are linked to mental health, as I sort of mentioned in the side effects there. So like it can affect like your, yeah, just happiness, like your desire to like do things in life, your feeling like yourself. Yeah, so yeah, there is research into how like the hormones in the implant can affect your mental health. So that's one thing I would definitely recommend. If you're on any form of birth control and are suffering from side effects from it, do look into the specific hormones that are in your birth control and see whether they have any links to the side effects that you're suffering, because when I was looking up the side effects of the implant, my side effects weren't coming up, but as soon as I looked up atonogestrel, all the side effects that I was complaining about were coming up. So what made you choose the implant over the pill? I was never offered the pill. As I said, I have an arachnoid cyst, which means I can't take any implant or any birth control that has estrogen in it, because as I said, it increases my risk of like having a stroke or something like that. But yeah, like I just, when I was 18, I phoned my doctor about getting birth control and I was just offered the implant. I was never offered the pill, I was never offered any other options, I was just told about the implant. So yeah, that's basically the only questions that I actually got about the implant. All the rest of them were like those stupid spam ones you get. But yes, I think I'll probably just wrap this video up here. I really don't know if I've done it that well, but yeah, I will keep you guys updated with the implant and future sort of birth control options and stuff like that. But yes, if you're, I just want to say, if you're having trouble with that, there is a book I want to recommend. It's called How the Pill Changes Everything, and it's by a doctor called Dr. Sarah Hill, and it's sort of opened my eyes to a lot of like what the way birth control sort of affects women. So yes, I hope you guys enjoyed. As I said, if you have any questions, leave them down below and I will get back to you on them. So yes, subscribe if you haven't already, because I upload videos every Sunday and Wednesday, and I love you guys so much. So I'll see you soon for a brand new video. Bye!